was a way to show respect to the audience and respect your own business. It was a way to protect it.
I am Mr. Richie Moon, and I'm Kayfabe Avenue, and I'm Kayfabe Focus.
It's Kayfabe Avenue.
Ladies and gentlemen, heels and faces, casual wrestling fans, and all you smart marks, I am Mr. Richie Moon.
And I'm Kayfabe AJ.
And I'm Kayfabe Focus.
And this is Kayfabe Avenue. And tonight, we're doing a Saturday Night Dynamite.
Saturday Night Dynamite.
Saturdays,
It actually
watch wrestling.
It actually doesn't sound too bad, but
yeah,
we used to watching Dynamite on Wednesday, so it's a special occurrence, or they want to mark it like it's a special occurrence. In reality, NBA has taken precedence over Wednesday night, so they had to move Dynamite to Saturday. And even though it started at 6 o'clock, we still had to wait about 20 minutes after 6 just to start Dynamite.
I didn't watch till this morning, so I didn't really.
No, it bothered me because I'm thinking I'm bugging out. I don't got the right channel. Like, where's Dynamite? And then I had to wait for the NBA game to finish.
It did also say like immediately after the NBA game. So
no, you stick to 6 o'clock, man.
They can't though. They don't know exactly when the game.
Specifically, 6:05.
They don't know exactly when the game's gonna end though.
All right, so let's start off by running down the card of Dynamite. We started off with FTR versus Private Party.
Let's get it started.
Now I don't know really where this I don't know where this match came from. I'm thinking it's just a product of the ranking system.
It most likely is because I think Private Party is like 5 and then FTR is like 1. So I'm guessing the Private Party was challenging FTR to raise himself in the rankings and maybe put FTR to number 2.
Yeah. So
it started from internet beef, but
you started from what?
Internet beef.
Internet beef?
Yeah.
So they were mentioning the rankings kind of heavy. And one of the big things about this match was actually what was on the outside, officially in FTR gear, was Tully Blanchard. And he's officially taken on FTR as his tag team to manage. And just more breadcrumbs leading towards an eventual 4 Horsemen rehash or reboot in 2020, maybe 2021.
This is a really good match. And Private Party could really benefit from wrestling FTR style. The clash of styles really benefited with a hard hitting and clash of styles match. It was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like Private Party has a long way to go as far as being a top tag team. They're great, as is, but I feel like they're just there. I don't feel like there's any real importance behind Private Party. Like, they don't give me a big reason to care about them.
I feel like that we already made it past their gimmick of them being, Private Party. They can't have the party anymore. So now they're just private. So, it's a big thing because, they can't have their gimmick there. So, not like I said, we moved past that. And I was like, what do you guys have there to show for it? And it's like, well, they got flips. And it's like, well, okay. Everybody else got flips too.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to make yourself differentiate and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, these guys are young. They're in their low 20s, so they still have a lot of time to grind up and get their act together and, eventually evolve into who they're going to be, down the line. But I want to see more growth from Private Party. I don't want to really see them behind Matt Hardy because I feel like Matt Hardy's too big for them. Like, I want to see Matt doing his own thing.
Well, the thing with Matt Hardy was he was trying to be the Michael Hayes version of himself, trying to manage Private Party so they could be more like the Brood or something. However, it seems like they're not really going for that angle anymore anyways.
I mean, I didn't really care for that angle. But, of course, we have FTR being the winners of that match. And what you guys actually think about the match overall?
It was a good match. It was a good showing for both. It was flips versus fists. Yeah, you said about Private Party growing. I think this match showed their growth because they were in the match with two people that completely were opposite their styles, and they weren't just flipping around the entire time. There was a lot of wrestling holds, a lot of good wrestling holds in their own style. So I think Private Party going against FTRs is good for Private Party and their group.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about growth, I don't mean as far as in ring. Like, they're great in ring. I have no problem with that. I'm saying as far as growth in character, like personality, and actually making the fans want to see them.
I think as far as in ring goes, they need a lot more work as far as timing and such. Especially when they're setting up them dive spots where you have your opponent there for more than 5 seconds, and then next thing you know, they're just standing there like, "What are we gonna do? Are you gonna just fall on me?" Or right? It creates a weird dynamic where we're about to fall on you, but make sure you catch me. And it's like the audience could see that.
I feel like we can always see their spots before they,
Telegraph
do them. Yeah, they telegraph their spots way too early.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest problem with Private Party, honestly.
Yeah, that's one of the detriments of the whole COVID thing. You can't get as many reps as you usually would. AEW never did house shows, and they won't probably have a chance to do house shows for a while. So they need those reps. They need those reps. They need those reps.
So next up, we have Jon Moxley cutting the backstage promo on MJF and pretty much accepting his little challenge for the title and pretty much talking about the difference between the two. And Moxley's kind of, the more action-oriented type of person, and MJF is all talk, so he wants to see if like the action matches all the hype of the talk. Yeah. And MJF is pretty much saying he's the future of AEW, and Moxley says, "I agree, but let's see what you got against me to even get to be in the future of AEW. Prove that." So more from that. And
well, there's one thing I also want to mention that he said. He said that it's looking like within 14 months he's probably not going to even be wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know if he.
I don't know if that was
or just a promo thing. Yeah,
but
that seemed like a pretty like spot on time frame, like a contractual time frame.
It looked like he was shooting from the hip.
Yeah,
it's like he was being serious.
So
it was like he was dead ass.
I mean, maybe he might have been. He might have been, but I mean, a lot of times they don't have scripted promos, so they could just be talking about. I mean, who knows? We'll see. I guess we'll see in 18 months. That was very
spot on. Yeah.
Very specific.
So we go to commercial break and we come back, and it's MJF's State of the Wrestling address, another rebuttal to Jon Moxley, and in this one.
Wait. Before we get into the promo, can I just say the stable that MJF just built is looking pretty good. Because first of all, you have MJF, now you have Wardlow, and now you have Lee Daniels, who MJF chose to take his spot when he was recreating the Samoa Joe MJF angle. So it actually gave him the co-sign of Lee Daniels. And you see Lee Daniels in the background, and if you haven't been watching Dark, Lee Daniels has been reluctant to wear the MJF pins, and the last episode of Dark, Wardlow actually came out to give him the pin and tell him to wear it.
But did he win though?
I mean, he's on 21 losses already.
Damn.
I mean, but he's still a Dark competitor. He has to pay his dues.
Yeah,
but he's pretty good in the ring, so you never know where that might lead to, especially when they put him with MJF. How you gotta make sure that and even like that lawyer that was doing that was cutting that promo. Is he like an independent type of wrestler or something?
Yeah, he was pretty funny. Everybody that MJF has on that team is funny. Even with the girl sitting there smiling in the background the entire time, because he told her to smile. It's funny. It's a funny thing he got going on. He's trying to get the paradigm shift banned because he had neck brace on, and his lawyer talking about he's going to try to sue AEW.
Other known as the double arm PDT.
Yeah. So I mean that would be an interesting dynamic if they can. I think that would be interesting little caveat if MJF can squirm his way into getting the paradigm shift band. That would change the dynamic of it.
I think that's eventually where they're gonna lead to, and that's probably gonna be the big stipulation of their match.
Yeah.
In general, like paradigm shift band, so Moxley, is going in with a slight handicap.
Mm-hmm.
So
he'll probably
he'll have to find a new way to finish him.
He'll probably use his headlock driver.
Yeah, he'll do something. But yeah, I think that's going to be, we'll probably see Moxley without the paradigm shift. So,
yeah, I mean, it's Moxley. He'll find another way.
Exactly.
Probably beat him into submission.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Lucha Brothers, the Butcher and the Blade versus the Natural Nightmares and Jurassic Express. So,
I'm not gonna lie, I was not paying attention to this match.
I didn't really care for this match. I mean, I paid attention to the most part of it, but I didn't care for it. It was another one of those AEW kind of smashing teams together just to give more showtime for everybody. Yeah. I appreciate it, but recently they've been like on a current, like a back-to-back wave of like 8-man matches and 6-man matches and 12-man matches, and it's like, I want to like scale it back sometimes and pay attention to 2 specific teams, get the character development for 2 specific teams. Yeah. Now, the actual match to me was the throwaway. It wasn't bad. It wasn't necessarily the greatest thing to keep my eye, but the developments at the end of the match,
that's what it was about.
That's really what this was about, and that's why it really made sense for this even to happen. So we have Eddie Kingston comes out at the end. The Natural Nightmares and Jurassic Express pull off the win. Eddie Kingston comes out, and anytime he comes out with a mic, you already know he's about to light the crowd on fire. Light somebody up in that ring. So this one was actually like a motivational thing, and he's trying to get the Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade to coexist, saying, basically we all know each other from the Indies. We kind of ran together. We came up in this together. Let's unify and let's start taking over. Like, almost you guys are great, but none of you guys have a tag team title. You guys are some of the best wrestlers, period. But what are you really doing? I think this is going to be more self-serving for Eddie Kingston, more so than him actually trying to help these guys. But who knows? This stable might go somewhere. Me personally, I feel like the Lucha Brothers have been in limbo. First of all, you have your tag team, no titles to come from it. You kind of drifted from, you lost position in the rankings due to COVID and all that. That's understood. But then you had this Dark Triangle stable with Pac. That Death Triangle with Pac, that fell through, of course, because of COVID. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Lucha Brothers are needed in a stable. Now, if it was just Butcher and the Blade and maybe Eddie Kingston, those are the guys he wanted to recruit, okay, I can see that. Because the Butcher and the Blade have been like drifting away from that Butcher Blade gimmick. They lost the bunny, so to the Natural Nightmare. So what's the point of keeping that gimmick? I understand them shifting them and going to the stable, but the Lucha Brothers are so diverse in by themselves that I feel like they didn't need to join the stable.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what turns out from this. If this is an official stable, or we'll see.
Are you behind the stable?
No.
Honestly, I don't.
If it is a stable,
they should have involved Eddie Kingston into it, because I understand if they would have been the Butcher, the Blade, and the Brothers, because they've been doing that for the past couple of weeks. But to put Eddie Kingston out now, you have a mouthpiece and everything. Is getting a little bit too many members. It's like, what, 5? This is NWO already?
And that's the thing. AEW, I love the stable work that they do in the building people in a group, but you're kind of oversaturating. You only have one show. You only have Dynamite for all these main storylines to be produced on. So now we have about 12 members in Dark Order. The Elite already has about 4 or 5 members, if you want to count Cody, which we'll get into that. But the Elite, we have the Inner Circle with about 5-6 members. We have who else? There's multiple stables on this. We have Jurassic Express. We have the Best Friends. Those don't bother me so much for the eventual debut of like a 6-man tag team title. But these groups that are like 4+, like we're starting to get like oversaturated with those kind of groups. So it's like, who's really in a position of power? Who's really a dominant stable? Like, not everybody has enough to go for to warrant that many stables. I feel.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. AEW, they usually,
Yeah, I
see how things
mean,
play out.
things been looking up as far as the stables go, but I just don't want them to oversaturate it. Next up, we have Dr. Britt Baker with Penelope Ford, and Kip Sabian. They do a pretty much like a backstage segment, and we have Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford just like kissing all over. Britt Baker puts her 2 cents about her being a dentist and kissing and the
exchanging and everything.
Yeah. All that doctor dentist stuff. So pretty much they go on to address Big Swole, daring her to put like her money where her mouth is, and that's pretty much how the segment wraps. I know coming up in the next Dynamite, I believe, it's gonna be Swole versus Penelope Ford and I think Britt Baker and her other henchman.
Rebel.
Yeah, Rebel in a handicap match.
It's going to be a handicap match.
So that's the development on that. Next up, we have Tony Schiavone interviewing Orange Cassidy, which ends up being crashed by La Champion. Now, the first thing I want to mention before we even get into the match, or into the segment, was the fact that me and folks were here watching it. We were joking, like, what happens if, like, Orange Cassidy gets, like, his own drink? Like, he should have his own drink, Focus says. And we're like, yeah, it should be like orange flavored or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, at first when he said that, I'm like, wait, so you saying an Orange Cassidy match? The next thing we know, we have a Mimosa Mania match.
Mimosa Mayhem.
Mimosa Mayhem match, which is a 600-gallon tank on the side, filled with orange juice and a little bit of the bubbly, which is basically orange flavored wine. So it's like literally what the hell we was just talking about. We literally like predicted the segment as we were watching the segment, and basically they're gonna have their rubber match. They each got to win over each other. It's gonna happen at All Out. The way to win is pinfall, submission, or throwing your opponent into the 600-gallon of little bit of bubbly mixed with OJ. So obviously somebody's getting tossed in that. We're obviously going to see that at All Out.
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be funny.
It's hilarious. Like Chris Jericho definitely has a knack for bringing people up, and Orange Cassidy has been benefiting from it.
Yeah.
So the next matchup we have is Dark Order versus the Elite. So the actual Elite of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Alan Angels. Like Focus said, 3, 4, and 5 from the Dark Order. I like that. So, what you guys think about this matchup?
I just want to say that Alex Reynolds and John Silver are a great tag team, and Alan Angel has been showing improving. That he could go toe to toe with the best in AEW, especially since he was relatively unknown before AEW. Like you could probably look on YouTube, he probably has like 5 to 10 matches on there if you put in his name. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he's starting to look like a star. He's number 5, so we'll see what happens because he seems like the more aggressive one out of 3, 4, and 5.
I feel like they made a mistake with this booking. They should have actually had a Dark Order win.
They should have.
Dark Order should have won.
There's no reason why the Elite should have won this.
So they won.
The Elite won, and they still had a little bit of like dissension amongst them because it showed like Kenny Omega was upset, and the Bucks were trying to calm him down after the match. So we're seeing that kind of like all around when it comes to the Elite. We have Kenny having a little bit of tension with Hangman. Hangman's already told them how he feels about the rest of the crew. It's really just the Bucks that are 100% still sticking together. And I'm really waiting for the implosion of the Elite. I feel like being a group is holding each other back. Like, for instance, Hangman versus Matt, that was personal. That should have been a one-on-one or should have led to a continuation of that storyline. Like, they are going to continue it down the line. Obviously, everything's been breadcrumbs, and obviously they're waiting for certain blow-off matches when the crowds officially come back. But that was like the interesting part. Is Hangman going to turn on Kenny? Is Hangman going to put up with Matt? Like, they've been teasing the dissension so long, and then now it's like, what's the point of the Elite? We have big things happen in this Dynamite, which we'll get into as we get to it. But the Elite is like picking and choosing when they want to be the Elite.
I feel like they just help each other out.
I feel like if it wasn't for COVID, the Elite would have already been broken up. They would have already.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They just waiting on them to bring in the crowd, finish the Elite storylines, and then break them up. That's basically what it seems like.
Yeah, I feel like they help each other out with storyline. I feel like the storyline is more interesting because they are working together, and it might be some dissension. I feel like they made a booking error. They really should have. They really should have had the Dark Order win this, a surprise roll up. They don't really do surprise roll up, so it's okay. Do a surprise roll up that gives Kenny even more of a reason to be angry because Kenny's turning back into the cleaner. We see that.
Yeah.
So
he needs to.
So
he needs to. He hasn't been taken serious enough.
I mean, we got DDT Kenny, so
I don't like DDT Kenny. He's too funny, too jokey. He's not serious. I like the cleaner. I like New Japan Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Kenny Omega, the guy who's giving you 6-7 star Meltzer matches.
Omega has lost in 2020 though.
Yeah, but still.
That's booking.
Yep. Moving on, we have the Tully Blanchard backstage with FTR, and that's where they officially explain that they are, being managed by Tully going forward.
They also said a couple of plot points such as, Dax, he faked an injury to go in the back, so Hangman could go in the back as well.
I want to see who you can trust.
Which you shouldn't do that during the fucking match.
No, but it's smart. You want to see where the alliances lie. You want to see where a match that doesn't really matter, it has no really high stakes, and it's a 12-man match. Yeah, why not? It's an 8-man match. Why not?
That's the best time you can. Because he said he wanted to see if they can trust them. That what better time?
Would you expect the whole team to go to backstage with you?
I mean, courtesy's sake, we just had a match all together. I get hurt in the match. Yeah, I expect my teammates to show, concern.
I think he was specifically looking for Hangman.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't for all of them to see who we could trust.
No, of course not. I mean, the FTR are being booked in a way that they're the reason for the dissension between the Elite for the most part. Yeah. The reason for Hangman to get pulled away and probably join the future Four Horsemen stable, probably along with Cody down the line.
Yeah. One thing that's absent is Sean Spears.
Sean Spears is, he's kind of hanging in the balance. I think he's been on Dark a few times.
Yeah, Tully still manages him.
He still manages him.
He's wrestled on Dark, but he's
he actually just had a little interview. I forgot who he interviewed with, but he did mention his partnership with Tully, and that's still a thing.
I think Tully's gonna betray him.
Probably.
Maybe.
Sean Spears.
I mean, Sean Spears has a good look. He could actually be a good part of the Four Horsemen. I think if anybody needs that rub, it would be Sean Spears.
Yeah.
So moving on, we have Darby Allin versus Will Hobbs. Not too familiar with Will Hobbs.
He's a competitor.
But pretty decent match. Looks like a big guy. Looks like he can hold his own. Obviously, this is just a little showcase for him, but something for Darby Allin to kind of run through and look strong.
Yeah.
And obviously, Darby Allin did just that. At the end, we have Taz telling JR and Shivani on commissary that he has a new member of the Taz crew. And it's funny that the guy's name is Darby as well. When it comes out, it's actually Ricky Starks in Darby Allin makeup. Yeah, taunting him and ends up with him in the machine.
Now,
Brian Cage beating the hell out of him.
Did you that comment that Ricky Stark said? He was like, "My name is Darby Allin and I like turtles."
Yeah. He looks like that kid from the Turtles. Yeah. That's the first thing I ever said when I saw Darby Allin. And it didn't take a meme. That's the first thing that popped in my head. he looks like that kid. But
Sure.
good segment. Shows more personality for Ricky Starks, which me personally, I want to learn more about the guy. I know he's had a stint in NWA, which is seeming to be more partnered with AEW. We'll get to that, but yeah, I want to see more from Ricky Starks. And moving on, we have.
Hold on, before you move, I just want to say this. I want to see them do something with the F. I want to see Brian Cage versus Darby Allin for the FTR belt. I feel like here's the thing: if you're going to introduce the belt,
FTW belt.
Yeah, FTW belt. Yeah, I mean FTR. If you're gonna have the FTW belt, if you're gonna bring it out, you might as well defend it. I mean, if it's there, you might as well defend it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if it's there, you might as well just
down the line. There's time for that. The belt's fairly new. There's a lot going on storyline wise as far as the titles go, so there's time for that. We're still finding some grounding for Taz's crew.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Matt Hardy giving a receipt to Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara's out during the commercial break doing his usual sign thing, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy comes out, and if you wasn't watching during the commercial break, you missed it because he beat the hell.
Yeah, he did.
Beat the living hell out of Sammy Guevara. Was trying to give him a real receipt and throw the same chair that was used to bust him open at Sammy Guevara, trying to do the same thing. Sammy ends up through tables, the whole nine. So this is a good storyline. It's still heating up, and we still seeing like bits of different personalities of Matt while he was like angry and passionate, trying to whoop his ass. You kind of see the broken personality, fighting to come out and him resisting that. So what do you guys think about that real quick?
I think Identity Crisis, man, is probably the best match that we probably could get.
Yeah.
This led to a tables match, which is pretty cool. I don't remember. Is this AEW's first tables match?
This is the AEW's first tables match.
No, it's not. Nyla Rose had a tables match.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's
first
like
men's tables match.
Yeah.
So hopefully
my only issue with this is maybe don't have room on the card at All Out, but they're doing this next Thursday instead of at All Out, and I feel like they just built enough. They built enough steam that they should be on All Out.
Yeah. So moving on, we have the finals of the Nightmare Sisters versus Ivelisse and Diamante for the trophy and some medals commemorating the tournament. We have Saul Guerrero, the daughter of Eddie Guerrero, announcing them. So pretty prestigious in that. Good match for the most part. I thought honestly that Brandy and the bunny, I forgot her name, Allie, were gonna pull off. This was their way to be the Nightmare Sisters, but I'm glad they gave us the reversal of that. It was actually a great day for Puerto Ricans Saturday night in wrestling, with Ivelisse actually pulling off the win and Diamante being Cuban. Good night for Hispanic wrestling.
More than likely, they got signed to a contract and they're not going to have them.
Yeah, they're not going to win for no reason. And I've been dying for Ivelisse to do more, dying for Ivelisse to be officially AEW. So this looks like the sign of that.
Yep.
And they try to give them flowers. They threw the flowers down. They're like, no, we're going to be taken serious. It's about our culture. It's about representing. They have the Cuban, the Puerto Rican flags out there. So that's a good look. And kudos, hats off to AEW for their use of Hispanic and minority characters. Like, you look at the other show and it's just not happening there. Moving on from that, the main event.
Wait. Before you get to the main event, there was a segment that has to directly connects to the women's division. You had. Oh my gosh, why is her name slipping from me? Oh my gosh, the NWA.
We had Thunder Rosa from NWA.
Yes.
She officially debuted on AEW. She's going after Sheeta. She showed up with the NWA Women's Championship.
Yep.
So will we see more championship exchanges between NWA and AEW? That seems like the case going forward.
You know,
I want to see her win. I want to see her beat Sheeta.
I want to see Thunder Rosa win too.
I feel like Thunder Rosa should have brought out her Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling Universal Championship, because I feel like that's something that Sheeta would have wanted to compete for, since he's a Joshi and everything. So I mean, and if Thunder Rosa wins the AEW title, she's technically Thunder 3 titles.
Maybe, but it's an interesting process we got with the NWA coming into AEW possibly. Interesting.
I can't wait for that. And Thunder Rosa is a real big name on the indie scene, so we can expect a lot more from the women's division. Moving on to the final segment of the night, which was pretty quick, so we won't, hesitate on running through this. Brody Lee versus Cody for the TNT Championship. Cody has this open thing where everyone can challenge, everyone gets a shot almost every week on Dynamite. It was a squash fest.
Yo, man, Cody came out with a little bit of a flurry, and then after that, Mr. Brody Lee put hands and feet on that man.
Hands, feet, power bombs, the whole 9 yards, everything you could think of.
He threw his kitchen sink at him.
Cody maybe got a couple punches in. That was it. Drop kick, power bombs. He beat the shit out this man.
They put him over so strong.
Even stronger after the match. Cuts the amazing promo. You guys are the reason that I'm like this. You guys didn't believe in Dark Order. You didn't believe in me. You made me an animal. They didn't believe in me, and they got me here. Now I'm a monster, and I'm a monster for AEW. That was a direct shot. The wording of it, you could take it for storyline purposes, but the wording of it was perfect. Like, I was always a beast, but now you have me unleashed over here because you didn't think I could do this. I'm going to be a beast here in AEW, and the belt is good on him. He took the pieces of the old belt, just like he said he would, gave it back to Cody, but he threw it straight in his face. What do you guys think about this real quick?
They did a good stretcher job. They actually put somebody on the stretcher like you would in a real-life situation. It was a great squash match. Mr. Brody Lee looked strong as hell. I've always believed in the Dark Order. Now this is my confirmation. # join the goddamn Dark Order.
I feel like we're missing out certain spots of this ending segment. One of the things that we got to mention was that Brody Lee, he put him in the stretcher. They were taking him out and everything while they were celebrating. The Dark Order was coming towards the ring. What else? As they were taking Arn Anderson decided to finally do something. Arn Anderson finally
he's been banned for
to fight
numerous episodes of Kayfabe Avenue for just standing out there and doing nothing.
He's been banned.
Finally,
after time.
What was telling to me about this whole thing was the fact that the Elite did not show up for Cody. Not one member of the Elite showed up. The Nightmare Family showed up. They got their ass fit.
Did not show up. The Nightmare Family got fucked up.
They got beat up and pulled out. They got drug out. Brandy showed up and then got choked out by Anna Jay, the new member of the Dark Order. So Dark Order strong, all 100 of them standing strong on the ramp.
I would have liked to see Colt Cabana come out and smack Cody Rhodes out.
So overall, what do you think about this episode of Dynamite?
I really enjoyed it.
It was good.
Honestly, I enjoyed it. It distracted me from TakeOver 30. Honestly, I had to go back and really think about the beginning. But AEW's that show, man. Whether it's on Wednesday, whether it's on Saturday, or next week, it will be on Thursday. I think it was great. But we could do this all day.
Yeah, we can.
Where can they find you, Rich?
They can find me at The Richie Moon Show on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, podcasts. You can find me at Kayfabe Avenue on Instagram, YouTube. Join our Facebook group. Like, share, and subscribe on the Kayfabe.
Follow the Kayfabe Avenue Twitter. Focus, where can they find you?
You can find me at www.jointhedarkorder.com.
You can find me at Kayfabe_AJ on Instagram, as well as, like Richie said, at the Facebook group. Join, like, share, subscribe on our YouTube. Comments, give us your ideas. And this has been AJ. This has been Mr. Richie Moon. And that's been Focus. Kenny, take us home.
Goodbye. And good night. Bye.